Of course, over the next few days, there is a full programme of matches in the Premier League. We'll focus on the game on Thursday because it is the standout tie. Of course, Manchester City taking on Liverpool, a defining game when it comes to the title race. Manchester City favourites at 21-20, Liverpool coming in outsiders 5-2. Remember the gap at the top of the table, 7 points going into this match. Raf, you probably, out of everyone that we have on, loves Jurgen Klopp the most. So much so you wrote a book on him. Even you must be surprised about what he's achieved this season.
Well, he hasn't achieved anything yet, but I am surprised that they are ahead at this stage of the season. I thought that they would be able to push City closer this year, but I still didn't quite believe that Liverpool would improve as much and that City would drop as much, because both these things really had to happen at the same time. City have only dropped a little bit, but just enough to open the door for a Liverpool team who, like City the year before, just don't drop any points at all. I don't know how sustainable that is. The rest of the fixture programme after the City game looks quite good for Liverpool, but this is still a big test, and I think psychologically, even though they could afford to lose, they don't want to, because I think once you lose a bit of aura, a bit of invincibility sense that they've built up over the last few weeks, maybe then you start second-guessing yourself. I don't think so, but you'd still rather not be beaten.
We were talking yesterday, Raph, about the psychological challenge that Klopp will face over the second half of the season because of the expectation in Liverpool, because it could be their first title since 1990. How will he as a manager cope with that?
I think he's in a good position because he's experienced various similar situations before. OK, Mainz, you can't really compare them to Liverpool, but this was a team that had never been in the mix for promotion and suddenly find themselves with the real possibility of going up, you know, like an unheard of scenario. And ultimately they did it. With Dortmund, it was maybe similar because this is a city crazy for football, and they were leading throughout the season. And he did exactly the same thing. I'm kind of laughing a little bit when I hear his comments, because he used to say exactly the same thing. Every game by itself. We're not thinking ahead. You know, he's really drumming that message into the players, into the media if he can. And I think he's been there before. I don't see him now suddenly doing something silly or changing the formation or doing something strange because he feels that he needs to do something special to cope with the extra pressure. I don't think he believes it that way. If anything, going back to what I said earlier, I think he might be even a little bit surprised that Liverpool have a chance of really pulling away from City.
Yeah.
If you'd given him a chance, I think, to be in the contention with City later on in the season, he would have taken about a chance to maybe even knock them out now. I mean, he'd take that all day long.
Is it as definitive to say, Shaka, if Manchester City don't win this game, Liverpool have won the title?
Look, it's still a long way to go, and you've seen Liverpool throw away leads in the past. But with this gap as it is, and Liverpool playing as well as they are, I don't see them throwing it away. Not right now. Not given everything that we've seen from them over the last couple of seasons. This is City at home. If they don't win, I just don't see City making up
That's
that
it.
gap. Not yet. I'm not saying it's it.
You just said you can't see City making up the gap.
Give me a couple of weeks. Give me a couple of weeks. The trouble for me, and why I'm so torn about it, is I can't help but draw comparisons between this team and the team that finished second with Luis Suarez, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago. So many similarities in how well they're playing. This is the best we've seen Liverpool play since that. Again, for me, Liverpool probably have the standout player of the season, Virgil Van Dijk this time around, Luis Suarez the previous time. But you just wonder if that lack of experience, that lack of winners, people who've actually won the title within that Liverpool dressing room. This time around, you can only count Daniel Sturridge at Chelsea and James Milner at City as having been there. I think the big difference between this time and the time with Luis Suarez is that standout player is at the back. And we all know titles are won with defence. Probably the biggest difference is who they have in between the sticks this time around and last.